Hi there, welcome to this week's edition of SecondsOut ReFLEXions. We're here every Monday, 4:30 PM to review the boxing action of the weekend just gone. And we're going to start in the mecca of boxing, certainly in the USA, Madison Square Garden in New York, where one of the best pound for pound fighters in the world, Terence Crawford, once again underlined his incredible talent. Going up against his mandatory challenger in, I'm going to try, Egidijus Kavaliauskas, probably close, Lithuanian, former Olympian, good fighter, earned his mandatory slot but was expected to be outclassed, and apart from a couple of good rounds early on, that's kind of how it turned out. He had some success in the early rounds, but that just seemed to annoy Crawford, who's obviously frustrated by not being able, so far at least, to fight some of the big names over on PBC. He's with Top Rank and ESPN, of course. So the likes of Errol Spence, Manny Pacquiao, Keith Thurman, something we talked about last week. But he got Kavaliauskas out of there, dropped him in the 7th and then finished him off in round 9. Looked as good as ever. He's a very slick boxer, but also a really ruthless finisher. And a hard battle for any other welterweight out there. And we wait to see if one of those fights with one of the PBC guys can be made. Sean Porter was one that was talked about most recently. So maybe that could happen. We could compare Crawford's performance against Porter to Spence's most recently. But the one we really want to see is obviously Crawford against Spence. We just hope that those guys can come together. I mean, it looks like, if it still happens, the Tyson Fury Deontay Wilder rematch is going to be some sort of cooperation between Top Rank and PBC. So if they can do it for that, maybe they can do it for the welters as well, although there might not be as much money at stake. But we'll wait and see. Teofimo Lopez stole the show, though, on the undercard, destroying Richard Commey. Teak tough previously, Richard Commey, the Ghanaian, in the second round. Lopez had talked a good game, he had a lot to back up, but he did it. They both threw right hands at roughly the same time in round 2. Lopez's was just a bit faster and a bit more accurate. Exploded onto Commey, who went down, was fortunate in a sense to be allowed to carry on, but that good fortune quickly turned around when Lopez jumped on him and finished him off. Round 2, and we have a new lightweight world champion, the IBF belt obviously on the line, and now the one belt that so far at 135 pounds Vasily Lomachenko hasn't won. Lopez, like Lomachenko's with Top Rank, we expect that to be the next one in 2020, and what a fight to savour. You know, Lomachenko will start as the favourite, of course, exemplary fighter, one of the top pound for pound operators in the world, but Lopez looked incredibly exciting and potent against Commey, and no one's done that to Commey before. His previous defeats have been split decisions against world-class operators, and he looked unlucky in those fights as well. He was completely taken out by Lopez, and it could have been an aberration. We don't know what would have happened if the fight had gone beyond round 2, but I don't think Lomachenko will be dispatched quite so easily, so we should get to see a bit more of just how good Lopez is in that fight. Also on the show, we saw Mick Conlan, finally get his belated Rio revenge over Vladimir Nikitin, the guy the Russian who controversially beat him in the Rio Olympics. Conlan swept pretty much every round as a pro. Kind of felt a bit sorry for Nikitin at times. I mean, Conlan needed to get it off his record, and it's a fight that sells, but we've got to remember it was a 12-0 pro against a 3-0 pro. Nikitin hasn't really had long to adjust to the program yet. So it did seem a little bit unfair that he was being asked to compete on a level playing field with Conlan, who was, as it proved, streets ahead. Should also mention that was the biggest show of the weekend, but there was a couple of smaller shows in the UK, one of which was the first 4 quarterfinals, or the only 4 quarterfinals, I should say, of the MTK Golden Contract Tournament at light heavyweight. It's the third of the 3 weight classes they're doing it in. Kind of like a mini World Boxing Super Series, if you like, with kind of European and domestic class boxers rather than the top fighters in the world. And no less entertaining as a result, I must say. Ricard Bolotniks, Latvian, coming off a great win in Russia over Sergei Ekimov, proved to be the revelation of the quarterfinals, knocking out Stephen Ward, who was not the favourite for the tournament, but kind of fancied by a few. Unbeaten Stephen Ward, well, he's not unbeaten anymore, got hammered, it's fair to say, by Bolotniks. Ward now looking to perhaps move up to cruiserweight. Liam Conroy also went through by virtue of a win over Andre Sterling. Sergei Michel, he went through too, beat brave Scotsman in Tommy Philbin. And the favourite, Hosea Burton, dropped Bob Adjusafe, both awkward, rangy operators, but dropped Bob Adjusafe early in their fight in the first round and then continued to outbox him for the remainder. So they're the 4 semi-finalists, and we also saw Dan Aziz win the vacant English belt on the undercard with a good win over Lawrence Osweke. Before I go, I should also mention Ultimate Boxer took place on Friday night at Planet Ice in Altrincham, and Nick Webb, who's had a bit of an up and down career, came out on top and wins the money and the golden robe. So well done to him. Now what I want to know from you guys is, if Terence Crawford can't fight Errol Spence next, if politics get in the way, who else would you like to see him fight? And who's your performance of the weekend? I think Lopez is an obvious one, but I'd like to know what you think. Let me know in the comments below and I'll respond to some of the better ones. I'll be back next Monday, of course, for ReFLEXions, Monday 4:30 p.m. And I'll also be here for FlexPectations, looking ahead to the fight before Christmas, among other things, Thursday at 4:30 p.m. with FlexPectations. Always a pleasure, and I'll see you soon. Cheers.